Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S25 and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S10 and see which particular device is the better one for you. Now, the biggest thing I can definitely tell you is that for every single person watching this video, you are so much better off buying a device that is still supported with software. So I would recommend going through and buying a device that is still supported, that's still going to be here for some time. The Galaxy S10, although it lived a really good life and it was a very good phone when it first came out, I don't really think this is a phone I would recommend really anyone to buy anymore. But there are still some other devices that I think are still really good options for you as well. So we'll take a look at those throughout this whole entire video. First things first though, if you want to pick up these phones that I would recommend buying this year though, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the Samsung Galaxy S10, which came out back in 2019, about 6 years ago, on the front side of this phone is going to be giving you a 6.1-inch dynamic AMOLED display. This type of panel was very good when it first came out. It was one of the first whole bunch displays Samsung made, and it was a beautiful display. It was curved on the sides. It was, a standard display. It was 1440p, which is kind of crazy. Just keep that number in mind. And it was a pretty good looking panel. I never really had too many things to complain about here with this type of device, and this was one of the best panels of that year. In 2019, maybe it wasn't the best, but it was one of the best, which was something that was so cool. So when I look at, the front side of this phone, it still looks good, but there's some downsides here too, like it's only 60 Hz and it's not like the brightest panel of all time. Whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S25, significantly better looking display. This one is going to be giving you a 6.2-inch dynamic LTPO AMOLED display. So that is a very good looking display when it comes down to it. That one's 2600 nits of brightness, which is great. It's giving you 120 Hz as well, which is another really cool thing. And definitely there's a lot more advantages for something like a Samsung Galaxy S25 panel than for something like a Samsung Galaxy S10 panel. So I do think this in and of itself is another really, really cool thing here. So being able to go through and buy those types of phones, I think is actually such a nice thing to basically have there. So that one is 1080p though. That is kind of the only downside here. 1080p on this type of phone, which is still nice, but it's weird because the Galaxy S10 had a 1440p panel like 6 years ago. So it's kind of funny, but it is what it is. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but that is one thing you'll probably end up noticing there. Now on the bottom, both these phones have USB Type-C ports, but the Galaxy S10 has a headphone jack and a microSD card slot as well. Once again, that is some really, really good I/O to have inside of a phone, and being able to go through and just, pick up a phone that still has a headphone jack and still has a microSD card slot is pretty crazy. And the Samsung Galaxy S10 was basically giving you that type of capability when it came down to it. Now on top of that, when it comes down to that side, the Galaxy S25 is basically going to be giving you this, frosted glass back with the triple camera setup. The Galaxy S10 is going to be giving you a solid glass back with the triple camera setup. So between both, I definitely will tell you that both these phones feel very good in the hand. They're both giving you wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, but I'm more surprised with the Galaxy S10 because this phone is a 6-year-old phone, but it still feels and performs like a really, really good device. Like it doesn't really look that old, which is always something that's so surprising to me. So from that side in and of itself, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. Now, when it comes down to their price tags, the Galaxy S10 is costing about $138 right now on Amazon. The Galaxy S25 is still costing about $799. So if you're going to go through and pick up a device, it might make more sense to go and buy a device like the Samsung Galaxy S25 because now it's going to be better. But from a price tag standpoint, you might be inclined to buy something like a Galaxy S10 because it's so much cheaper. So I do see where you're coming from, but hopefully you can watch the remainder of this video so you can kind of change your mind on that. But on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is that when it comes down to both these devices, their cameras on the backside were also very, very interesting. The Samsung Galaxy S10 was giving you this triple camera setup, two 12 megapixel wide and telephoto lenses, and then a 16 megapixel ultra wide camera. But the Galaxy S25 is basically giving you this 50 megapixel wide, 10 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. So once again, when it kind of comes down to both these devices, I will tell you in my personal opinion, the Galaxy S25's camera is definitely the better camera here in almost every single way. Like if you're going to go through and pick up a phone and pick up a camera, that one, there's not really that much competition here. The Galaxy S25 is going to be significantly better, but the Galaxy S10, as I mentioned before, still does a really decent job. Like I'm actually very surprised about how decent of a job the Galaxy S10 still does. But that camera does, it is a little bit more grainy. It isn't necessarily like the best type of camera anymore either, but I'm still thoroughly surprised about how good of a job that phone did for that long of a period of time. But like I said before, the Samsung Galaxy S25, significantly better. It's giving you 8K capability and so many things like that. So that phone is definitely the better one when it comes down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there too. Now, on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is how long these phones are going to last. So as of this point, the Samsung Galaxy S25 is going to be in one of those situations where that type of device, is going to be lasting significantly longer than the Samsung Galaxy S10. The Galaxy S10 is already done getting software updates and software support. So if you were to go through and pick up a device, the Galaxy S10 is already pretty much done getting software support, right? So I would once again hate for you to go through and pick up a device like that if it's already going to be outdated with software. Whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S25, this thing is just getting started, right? You have so many more software updates available for that type of phone. So that right there is another really good device. And even when it comes down to their battery lives, the Galaxy S25 is going to be the phone that's going to be lasting for a longer period of time here again. So once again, if you're going to go through and then pick up a bit newer device, definitely would make a lot more sense to go and buy a device like the Samsung Galaxy S25 because that battery life is still so good in that type of device too. And finally, when it comes down to the performance, the thing you have to keep in mind here is that the Samsung Galaxy S25 and that type of device and that type of performance is going to be very, very good. That phone is giving you a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM, where the Samsung Galaxy S10, on the other hand, is going to be going through and giving you the Snapdragon 865. The Samsung Galaxy S10 actually is giving you the Snapdragon 855 chipset inside with 6 or 8 gigs of RAM. And my model had 6, so my model actually had half the amount of RAM as something like the Samsung Galaxy S25. So that right there in and of itself is another very crazy thing. Being able to go through once again and, pick up a phone like the Samsung Galaxy S25 that's going to be giving you that type of capability is actually pretty insane. Because in my opinion, the Galaxy S10 still did pretty good. It really wasn't the worst performing phone even up until 2 years ago. But now you can definitely see it showing its age, especially when compared to phones like the Galaxy S23 and above. So even when the Galaxy S21 came out, that was actually a really good performing device. But nowadays, it kind of makes more sense to look elsewhere. And when I do look at a device like the Samsung Galaxy S25, these devices are just so much better in almost every single way. And those are the ones that I'd recommend people to buy. So overall, to kind of sum it up, I definitely will tell you, I like the Samsung Galaxy S10. I loved it a lot when it first came out. And this is a legendary phone with so much capability when it first came out. But the thing I will tell you is that it really does not make that much sense to go ahead and buy this device anymore. You are much better off buying devices that are still supported with software, that are still going to be powerful, that have a lot more capability. And a phone like the Samsung Galaxy S25 is the one that makes a lot more sense in my personal opinion. So from that side in and of itself, that's kind of the one I'd recommend people to buy. The Galaxy S10 is still legendary. I still love this phone, but I would definitely recommend buying the Galaxy S25. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.